Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the finale of round 4 of the My Favorite WWF LJN tournament. And darn it, this tournament has been absolutely amazing. I told you guys, shoot, once we got out of round 1, that this thing was really going to take off. Because round 1 was 40 videos deep, that was really going to be the most irritating and frustrating part of the tournament. And usually it's the first 2 rounds. Round 1 was really just getting through the dead weight. I mean, I guess round 1 for a lot of people is the important thing because it allows people to see all of the different figures that are going to be part of the tournament. But man, for me, the second round, this go round was impossible because I kind of felt like that second round this time around it felt like every single video was the semifinals, and that made it like the most difficult tournament to date. But third round actually went by a lot smoother than I would have expected. Fourth round, first video seemed like it went by pretty easily, pretty smoothly, and then I'm like, okay, I have a general idea of where I'm going to go with a lot of these matchups. I've had the opportunity to talk about these figures for 3 rounds. I got it. I know who I'm going to choose, regardless of what the competition is. But shoot, no. First video was okay. The last 3 videos, I've had a hell of a time choosing my winner for these videos. And with the last 8 figures standing in this 4th round, I don't know, because I really want to see all of these guys go into round 5. So when they're gone, they're gone, and it sucks because I think that everybody deserves an opportunity to advance further. But I'm excited and I don't remember who's in this tournament. I mean, I've talked about it in the past. I didn't even realize Legion of Doom was still in this tournament. And not only did I have one member, I had 2 different Legion of Doom characters in this tournament still. So that was amazing. And they both made it to round 5, so that was special. But I don't even remember who I've drawn already here in round 4, so I don't know who's left in this bowl we haven't seen already in round 4. So I'm kind of excited to see what the matchups for this video is, who's gonna be going up against who. But not a whole lot to talk about prior to today's video, so we're just gonna be able to dive right into today's matchups and get this ball rolling. All right, so number 1 is Zeus from Random Treasures. Sucks. Zeus squares off against my wife's Hillbilly Gem figure. That sucks. That's a tough one. I have a general idea of where I'm going to go with that one, but let's just say one of those figures had a hell of a run. Next one up, we got Butch Reed. Ooh. He is going to square off against Ken Patera. Okay. Okay. Then we've got Berserker from Ram Treasures. Andre Series 2 Custom Purple. And we've got Hulk Hogan Series 1. And the last name, why am I looking out? It's the last figure. That takes care of this bowl. So, last name. I don't know about this one. Actually, one of them is easy, I guess. The other one is, I know the answer, but it's not easy. The third matchup is maybe this one, Hogan Series 1 going up against Andre Series 6. I have no idea where I'm going to go with that one. Yeah, I have no freaking clue. I guess I'm going to have to talk about them and just see where I'm leaning as I do my discussion. But either way, this is going to be another one of those difficult videos, but let's see what happens. All right, let's pull the figures and begin. All right, we're recording. Yes, we are. And of course, every time I lean forward, I talk, I blow my tags. Per usual. Nothing ever changes. Get everything lined back up here. Make sure I got everything up. All right. First matchup. From Random Treasures, we've got Zeus going up against my wife's Santa Claus. And, man, in the last, what was it? I think episode 2, round 4, part 2, we saw my wife's Hulk Hogan figure get eliminated. And here's the thing. Seeing 2 of her figures make it all the way to round 4 in their very first tournament was pretty special. And knowing that Hillbilly Jim in general, excuse me, in the past, I didn't even really value Hillbilly Jim. So when I was doing my first tournament, probably the first couple tournaments, if we're being honest, I was always pitting Big John Studd against Hillbilly Jim, whatever, because based on the way that figures were situated on the shelf, right? I didn't have these shelves. I had those little DVD shelves, and I had the figures situated like this, side by side, because that's the only way they fit in order to get them all on the shelves together. And I knew Hillbilly Jim was never going to these tournaments, so I wanted to put the figures I knew that were good, and the ones that were not gonna win the tournament, I didn't want them to move forward or have the opportunity to move forward. So I wanted to put the good figures against the bad figures, essentially. They weren't random drawings. They were scoring off based on the way we were situated on the shelf. And I don't know why I did that, because I truly love the Hillbilly Jim figure. I think it's a spectacular figure. Great girth and width to the figure. It looks spectacular. Play pose is actually a lot better than I ever gave it credit for. And like I said, my wife, when she painted this figure, this is exactly what I wanted. And she did a fantastic job. I had a feeling that the Hillbilly Jim Santa Claus figure was going to do really well in this tournament, because it's like I said, it's precisely what I wanted. And it looks great. The overall paint job looks spectacular, and I knew the figure was never going to win this tournament. I had no idea how far in this tournament was going to go. Was it going to make it could be like a one and done deal? Was it going to go 2 rounds, 3 rounds? I had no idea. Could it go 5 rounds or more? Could it make it to the semifinals? I've always said, it's in random drawings. You never know how these matchups are going to play out. Ken Patera is in the 4th round. Is Ken Patera going to win this tournament? He's not. Is he a 4th round figure? Among 320 figures, probably not a deserving figure for the 4th round. But here he is in the 4th round, right? But at the same time, you could see a figure like this in the 6th. It's possible. Probably not in the 6th, because last 5 standing, right? But you get the point. Solid piece all around. But we could talk about this figure all day. You know how much I love the particular figure in general, because it pits Christmas with the wrestling theme, and it's a 2-in-1 figure, and it's one of those things I really appreciate. So I wanted to give one last shout out to this particular Hillbilly Jim / Santa Claus figure. But at the end of the day, no way possible it would defeat Zeus. Zeus is absolutely one of the most premier figures of the entire collection. Original, custom, it does not matter. This is an absolute perfect figure. Yes, this figure did win the Ram Treasures tournament, so it is a tournament winner. It is not my favorite LJN tournament winner, but man, he does have those credentials. And in this tournament, with the way that I'm feeling about the Bruiser Brody figure starting to waver, yes, I still care about that figure a lot, but I've talked about it numerous times in this tournament. I just don't feel as heavy about that figure as I once have. So again, my feelings about the figure has wavered. So yes, Zeus, in my opinion, does give you probably the best chance of winning this tournament. And I will reflect on past success, and I'll look at that Random Treasures tournament as an option of, hey, he's a tournament winner already. Should I not give him a reflection as not only a Random Treasures tournament winner? Can I not just point him as an overall LJN tournament winner as well? And sometime at the end of December, maybe in January, I might have to stretch it out. I might have to put it in January 2025 when I do that retirement ceremony or that LJN Hall of Fame ceremony, and I start retiring my LJN figures and put them in the sort of LJN figure Hall of Fame. This figure is definitely going to be a first ballot figure, right? So it would be nice to give him that extra credential on his plaque, so to speak. So absolutely, Zeus round 5 figure, 100% deserves it. Does he make it to round 6? I absolutely believe he will. If he is the figure that I believe is going to unseat Bruiser Brody, then I don't really think it matters who he squares off in the next round. But anything could happen in this tournament. So Zeus defeats Santa Claus, and we'll move on to round 5. All right. The Natural, Butch Reed takes on Ken Patera. And we will bring up the Ken Patera figure once more. And I've talked about it, and I've said the same thing. I'm going to say the same thing today that I've talked about so many times in reference to this individual figure. So, once upon a time, at the very early stages of this channel, March through April, yeah, that sounds about right. It was only 26, 27 episodes deep, so March, April 2022, when I did the first My Favorite LJN tournament. Right after that, around episode 38, I believe it was, I did the top 10 least favorite LJNs, talking about original figures, and Ken Patera cracked the list at number 10, least favorite LJN. Now, I know over the last couple of years, there is just no way possible that I would still classify Ken Patera as a top 10 worst LJN. No way, shape, or form he would come anywhere near that top 10 list. Would he be on the top 15? It would be hard for me to put him in the top 15. Top 20, potentially, because there are a lot of really great LJN figures. Top 25 worst, maybe, because again, that's a lot of figures, but not a top 10 worst. And the only reason you're putting Ken Patera on a top 10 list at that time is play pose only. But think about it this way. At one point, I had him as one of my top 10 worst figures, and today I'm doing my third annual My Favorite LJN tournament, and he is a round 4 figure. He is one of the last 40 figures standing out of 320. That is an insanely good run for an original Ken Patera, especially considering that I've got that custom Ken Patera from Wrestling Rider with the blonde hair and the whole USA Olympic design and everything. So obviously, my opinion has severely changed regarding this particular figure. A big, thick, bulky figure. I actually like it a lot. The only thing that keeps a figure like Ken Patera or One Man Gang from being, even better figures or much more highly rated on my list is the fact that their poses suck. But that's it. Now, Ken Patera going up against Butch Reed. I mean, this has got to be like one of the easiest matches ever. Obviously, Butch Reed, a very late entrant into this tournament. Now, I won this figure on auction, and around so first round was like 40 episodes deep, right? This guy, around episode 30-ish, 35, somewhere around there, I got this figure in, and I was able to add his name to the bowl, and so he was able to come in right near the end of the first round, and I said, hey, any figure that I acquire before the first round ends can be part of that can be part of this tournament, and here, someone that I acquired before the first round ended has potential to win this tournament. Yes, this figure can win this tournament 100%. No blowing smoke. This is a perfect darn figure. So, I talk about Mr. T, one of my 10. Yes, Butch Reed, one of my 10. Why do I like the two figures? Their play pose, absolutely perfect. The difference between this and a Mr. T, or this and a Galoop 2-up of Butch Reed, same pose, same Galoop figure, right? But you got that added built-on vest, right? And that is perfection. But you throw in the extra color and detail of this figure. I mean, the overall look, I mean, he is a rubber figure, right? But there are certain aspects, like it's a kind of a resin meets rubber at the same time. So it's kind of a hybrid figure. It's not 100% rubber throughout. That's fine. I mean, figures like this, I will still classify as rubber. So if you say, hey, you got a resin figure here and you got a rubber figure here, you prefer the rubber figure. That definitely gives the rubber figure a definite huge upgrade as far as who you might select to win the win matchup. But a figure like this with the hybrid, it doesn't matter. I still think that if you say this one's fully rubber, a hybrid figure makes no difference. This is a spectacular looking figure. I don't know a whole lot I don't have a lot of history with Butch Reed. I don't know anything about him. I didn't have no Butch Reed Galoop figure. I mean, obviously I had the Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons was terrible. Man, if I had a Butch Reed figure from childhood, because Butch Reed Galoop is easily the number 3 best Galoop figure of all time. Best play pose. If I had that instead of Ron Simmons, oh my god, play for childhood would have been so much better. And of course, my tags just went flying. Yeah, I just blew my tags everywhere, so I don't know what the heck my freaking matchups were now. But one of the greatest figures in my collection, and Ken Patera, he made the 4th round simply because he went up against figures that simply were not as good. But this was an excellent run for him nonetheless. I'm glad he got a solid push this tournament, but this is a no-brainer. All right, so Berserker, and I blew my tags away, so I don't know what the matchups were. Andre Series 6. I think it was Berserker versus Red. Yeah, so I think Hogan versus Series 6 Andre, which meant that Berserker was taking on Series 2. So it's nice that you actually have two Andres in this video, or two more Andres with the... Actually, hold on a minute. I'm trying to think. Is Series 1 Andre, did he appear in the first video of Round 4? I think he did. I think Series 1 Andre is still in this tournament, and I think he won. I think he made it to Round 5. I'm trying to think of any other... You know what? Yeah. So I think Andre Series 1 is still in Round 5. And from Raider Nation, that custom Andre the Giant, he made it to Round 5 as well. So, shoot, if these two Andres win, you could have 4 Andre the Giants in Round 5. And with 4 Andres in one round, that'll be 20 figures with 4 Andres. There's a potential that at least one Andre could be one of the last 5 standing. That's possible, I think. Hold on, that breakdown doesn't sound right. 40 into 20. 10 matchups. Or 10 winners. Yeah. Anyways. What was I saying? Berserker versus Series 2. The sad thing is, I think Big Boss Man knocked out the blue Series 2. And I actually would have preferred original Series 2 Andre make it to this round. But you know what? You got the Wrestling Writer custom. I actually should have sent him a Series 1 for customization. Because if you actually look back in history, when Andre the Giant wore the maroon outfit, he actually had, the long afro. So this look didn't actually go with the short hair version. So now maybe in like Japan or something, when after the haircut, maybe with the short hair, maybe later on he still had this outfit. I don't know. I did see him in purple/maroon trunks and boots, but again, when I did see him in that outfit, I've seen, again, photographs or small clips, small videos, it was with the long afro. So I would have actually preferred, I should have sent him the Series 1, but I had a Series 2 available. Series 2 was pretty beat up, and it was for my personal collection. I wasn't planning on reselling it or anything, so it's fine. Series 2, any Andre figure, same problem with Hogan. I've said it with Stud, I've said it with Kamala. Any of those figures, there's very limited pieces that I can actually take them out. A Series 2 Andre, I think in like the second or third round back in like the first tournament, I think I remember like Greg Valentine taking him out of that tournament. So I don't know if I would necessarily put Greg Valentine over Andre in like this tournament, if that would ever play out again. But I did value Greg Valentine more the first time around than I did Andre the Giant, oddly enough. But when I would do my countdown, I would say, hey, Andre the Giant, number 3 best figure, Greg Valentine, number 5. So actual play pose and playability, they're relatively similar figures. I definitely like the bulkiness and height, obviously, of Andre the Giant. And if you actually look at Berserker, I mean, he's a really tall guy. I think John Nord is like what? I mean, how big was he? 6'6", 6'10", something like that. I mean, he was freaking big fella. I think Andre was like 7'4", but 7'4", 520 pounds. And I look at this figure, and every time I take a look at this figure, the one thing I always mention that really stands out to me, I keep seeing Hasbro, and I love that. Because that face mold is Hasbro to a T. And you know Hasbro is my toy line from childhood. And so anytime I see these figures and they are 100% mimicked after Hasbro, it is freaking awesome. That's Hasbro's head. The helmet, the face. I think that they went all out on the boots. I mean, those are like freaking enormous over boots and everything. That is crazy. I don't know, man. Would I have actually liked if it was something a little bit different? Like instead, like with Hasbro, where he's just Trunks, right? But he's got the bare chest, but he comes with the built-on robe, right? Or not the built-on, but the removable robe accessory. I do love this. And I've said it before. When you look at like Legion of Doom and you've got the chest protectors, I prefer the built-on. I look at this and yes, 100%, I'd rather have this. But then there are times I look at it, I'm like, man, maybe sometimes you might want to have that actual cloth accessory because you do want to have it kind of mimic Hasbro as much as humanly possible. But it's not Hasbro. It's LJN. You want it to be its own LJN-esque as possible. So love this figure. I doubt, and I'm almost 99.9% sure that a Series 2 Andre the Giant cannot defeat Bruiser Brody. And I gotta think about who are the figures that can dethrone Brody as champion, right? I do think that Bruiser Brody's former tag team partner, the Berserker, Nord the Barbarian. I do think that this figure is one of those pieces that of the collection that has those capabilities to do so. Now, there's only 5 slots available in the semifinals in round 6, right? To make it into round 6. And you've got to assume that Bruiser Brody, more than likely, not a guarantee, but more than likely is going to make it into round 6. So, realistically, there's technically only 4 slots that are going to be filled. Now, who is going to fill those other 4 slots? Is Berserker going to be one of those 4 pieces? And I'm thinking maybe 2 pieces really stand out to me. Maybe 3. So who's going to fill out that 4th slot? That 4th open slot? Or 5th open slot, again, if you're including that Bruiser Brody figure. So this might be it, but I don't know. There's so many awesome pieces, but yeah, I've got to go with Berserker, man. To me, this is a no-brainer. Now, this could potentially be the most difficult battle of the video, and right now we're at about, I don't know, 25, 26 minutes. My eyes still have not healed from the surgery, and as of the filming of this video today, I just got back earlier from one of my follow-up appointments, 1 week follow-up, and they're telling me that it could take up to 6 months for my vision to improve. I'm like, you know what? I should just not have the surgery at all, because I don't want to wait 6 months for my eyes to get better. But, and again, it's not going to improve my vision. It's just going to keep my vision where it was, so that I don't lose any additional eyesight. But we'll see what happens in the long run. But what was I talking about? Anyways, back to the figures. This right here, I might need the extra time, because if it took me 25 minutes to get through those three matchups, it's probably going to take me 25 minutes to make a choice just between this match, because this really is an impossible choice. Just losing a Andre the Giant, I might need to move this Andre forward just to keep another Andre in the tournament, because I want to see a lot of Andres in this tournament. Here's the thing, though. That's stupid to think of it that way, because in that respect, I've already lost, what was it, 2 Series 1 Hulk Hogan's? And in fact, I think I lost like 2 Series 1 Hulk Hogan's in one video, plus a Series 5 Hogan in one video. So I technically lost 3 Hogan's, all at once. And this is literally one of the most special wrestling action figures ever made. Okay? In the 1980s, there was not a bigger superstar. Heck, forget wrestling. In the 80s, was there any bigger name, celebrity-wise, in the 80s? Don't say Ronald Reagan. Darn, I'm trying to think 1980s mega superstars, but honestly, when I think superstars of the 80s, for whatever reason, D. Wallace pops in my head, because freaking D. Wallace was everywhere. Like Cujo, and I think she was in Critters. Like, I watched that movie like months and months ago. I'm like, that was such a bad movie. Like, what? How can you be in Critters? I mean, you are a major superstar, but Critters and Howling, Cujo, E.T. I mean, she was like in some of the biggest freaking movies of the 80s. I mean, she was everywhere. But, or, dang. Kim Cattrall. Kim Cattrall was one of the biggest superstars of the 80s. I mean, I guess they were more sex symbols of the 80s than, or I guess you would call her more of a sex symbol of the 80s than a superstar. Arnold Schwarzenegger would be, I guess, superstar. But anyways, what was I talking? Back to Hogan as our favorite 80s Rev likes to say, iconic figure. Why do I make that little eye gesture? Iconic. But I love this figure. I mean, like I said, I think that this has probably the most perfect play pose in the world. And it's one of those pieces that, because I've always craved those customs, I always loved the upgraded design of the figures. And when I looked at this, it's a simple color scheme. It doesn't really stand out. It's a simple yellow and red, something that you grew up seeing over and over again. Nothing special, really. Not really. So it never made it out of my first round. So it never really had a chance for success. But over the years, no matter how many times I've done these tournaments, I've always said, if this figure was never eliminated in the first round, if this figure actually made it further and further into the tournament, if this figure was in the 4th round, 5th round, he made it to the 6th round, this figure could have potentially won. If this figure was a finalist in the first tournament instead of Big John Studd and was going up against Bruiser Brody, I probably would have chosen Hulk Hogan to win that battle. So, when I look at this tournament and I look at this matchup, what's holding me back right now, yes, I think Hogan is a better, more enjoyable, playful wrestling action figure than Andre the Giant. Sure. He is my all-time favorite wrestler, true. When I look at Andre, my childhood, I only got to see Andre in the latter part of his life. This right here is how I knew Andre the Giant. I didn't know Andre the Giant in blue trunks or yellow trunks, red trunks, maroon trunks. I didn't know him as the Andre the Giant in Japan, being body slammed by Harley Race or being lifted up by 3 guys and being suplexed and stuff like that, or going flying over the ropes and doing all these acrobatics and stuff, like crazy stuff for a 500-pound 7-footer, like absolutely amazing. No, I didn't know anything about Andre the Giant other than a guy who could do nothing more than barely move around the ring, who was nothing more than a headbutt guy, a bear hugger, maybe a chopper, maybe somebody who gets you into the ropes or into the turnbuckle and booty bust you. To me, Andre the Giant was one of the most boring wrestlers ever, but he was a freaking legend, and because of his size and stature, you still loved the heck out of him. Yes, he was boring, but I never griped or cared about that. I loved the hell out of him as a kid. I will always love the hell out of him as an adult. So, even though he was immobile and didn't really do much, it never really bothered me. I've never had any complaints about him. As an adult, like I might have complaints about like Coco Beware or the Bushwhackers. Like today, like they bother me, but like I don't really say anything about Andre. I always have affection for this guy, right? Now I could look at the figure and I can look at least the design is better. I could look at the figure and be like, okay, well, from a financial standpoint, you're looking at like a $400 figure compared to like a $10 figure, right? But I hate that. I hate putting value of these figures because it shouldn't matter what the price of the figures cost. That should have no bearing in this tournament. But sometimes it does kind of impact my decision. So I try to keep that away from my criteria. But I'd be lying if I said it doesn't affect my choice at all. Because they're both very similar figures, right? It's hard to like really pinpoint which one you can really enjoy more. Plus the girth and the thickness of Andre compared to the very thinness of Hogan. So that hurts this figure a lot. There is a lot about this matchup that says Andre. There is a ton about this that says Andre is the best figure. You want to go with the figure that is the best choice. That is technically your favorite figure. But that is the title of the tournament. My favorite figure. or my favorite LJN tournament. Not the best LJN tournament, but my favorite LJN tournament. And I do enjoy Hulk Hogan more than Andre the Giant. I do think that Andre probably is a better figure, but I like the Hogan figure better. So I am going to choose Hulk Hogan to push forward into round 5. And like I said, one of the things that does help this figure, I don't necessarily believe that this figure would beat Bruiser Brody. Same thing with the Series 2. I think if this figure makes it to the finals, semifinals, and they square off, I think that the value I place on this particular piece, the history and affection that I have for my favorite wrestler of all time, I think that could really play a huge role. Now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed to impact my decision, but I think it's going to make a huge difference compared to this one. So, Hulk Hogan, round 5. All right, guys, that does conclude round 4. So, I am going to wait until next Wednesday to start round 5. And round 5, I'm going to stretch it out to a third episode. So I'm going to probably do 3 battles, and then a fourth, in the third video, do 4 battles. So what is that? 10 matchups. So yeah, 10 matchups, and that'll give us 5 winners going into round 6. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye, everybody.